All right, everybody, I'm in the annex where they call the Tanner building. This is the building where they first stored the Salt Lake Temple in. And I'm here with the Hills, Linda and Brian, and he was president of the wagon train. And back up, I did that wrong. It's Karen. Why was I thinking Linda?
Linda Whitaker.
Linda Whitaker.
Probably.
Others,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
He's a professor here at BYU in the business school here, and his wonderful wife, Karen. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Good.
20 years later, look at them. Have they changed much?
I think Karen has changed the most.
The color of the hair.
Yes,
You
and
guys
the
look
length.
wonderful.
And the length.
You look wonderful. Awesome. And so you have this area here, and how is it that tourism became a part of the business school?
Well, they actually did away with our college, which was the College of Health and Human Performance, and then moved us, Recreation Management, Department of Recreation Management, into the Marriott School, and now we are the Department of Experience Design and Management.
Impressive, right?
Yeah. That's tourism right there. All right, so you guys are here. Why don't you speak together and tell me about life in the last 20 years after the wagon train. Do you long for it?
Do we long for it?
Do you long for the wagon train again?
I'll tell you, we've been talking about this just a little bit, and I think Brian hadn't really noticed this about himself, but what he got from the wagon train has driven his entire professional pursuits the last 20 years. That's what I've seen, is looking at him and what he has sought for and tried to plan for and to offer other people. And he's accomplished that in some fun and unique ways.
Like what?
So I've run about 6 different study abroad programs where students would go with me to the South Pacific or parts of Europe and Iceland for 6 weeks at a time, and try to build that same kind of bond among them. It happens pretty naturally as they have adventures and journey together. I've done a lot of 6-week outdoor programs through southern Utah and other parts of the state where we do the same kind of adventurous things, lots of backpacking and canoeing. So those are the kinds of activities, events, offerings that I've tried to come to pass.
Did you learn that you can have some bonding that can last for a lifetime?
I think so. I mean, I just had a class where I brought back students to talk to, these are graduates from 10 years ago, to come back and talk to the introductory students, and in my class today, and these were some of the students who did study abroads with me.
Yeah, when we just had a 10-year reunion from one of our first study abroad groups that went, and they're still just as close as ever, and saying that was one of the most meaningful things they did at their college education.
So, you made a comment, and I always remember that, the day you were made president of the wagon train by Elder Ballard.
Yeah.
You said something to the effect that this is going to be like being on a mission, and when this ends, it's like coming home back from a mission. Because something you're always going to remember, but there's going to be a hard transition. What kind of transition?
You have much to
Well,
say
the
about
first memory is for 2 weeks, every time we sat down, we fell asleep. And then we had our house in Nebraska that was a year and a half old, and we had somebody else live in it while we were on the trail, and we thought they were going to mow the lawn for us so we'd have this nice yard. But when we got back, we had weeds and sunflowers that were 8 feet tall in a half an acre of land. And we were kind of happy about that because neither one of us could stand being inside. It was like, oh, get this roof. Or we'd go to church. I remember going to church and just going, there's walls and there's a roof. Let me out of here. We're not supposed to have church inside this building. But we spent a lot of time, do you remember?
Yeah.
Working outside and really going, yeah, we just want the open sky.
And then just like a mission, I think there's a long longer period of spiritual kind of transition and getting used to the idea that you don't get to feel the same way you did on your mission. And I think it probably took years and years to get used to the idea that we wouldn't feel the same as we had on the wagon train, that those feelings were not easily replicated.
Would you do it again?
Well, to quote Linda Whitaker, when people would ask her, she would say, "Why? The pioneers only did it once."
But there were other guys who did it many times.
Yeah, there were.
And I've tried to do it again. I've tried twice to put together programs through BYU, and twice those programs have been sort of cut short by either the president or the dean or somebody who didn't think it was quite right. And Kevin always reminds us that President Hinckley said it would never be done again, so maybe I shouldn't have even tried.
But
Yeah.
what is the biggest takeaway you received from this whole experience?
There was one time when I wrote about 4 or maybe 6 or 8 ideas because I was thinking I'm going to write a book about this. And the title of it was going to be Just Walk Through the Shit. Because your shoes...
She's definitely been on the wagon train. That's for sure. We just got her to give up coffee.
Well, because you were in the very beginning, you were so careful not to walk through the horse droppings. And then, it didn't take long before you just said, I'm just walking right through it. And let that be kind of a guide with whatever comes your way, because there's hard stuff. And you might want to avoid it, but if you just hit it head on, you can do it. You can do hard things. And I think that's one of our mottos, that we can do hard things and push yourself. And I think one of my other takeaways was, if you want meaningful spiritual experiences, then you have to place yourself in a situation that can come. And some of the most spiritual experiences of my life happened on the wagon train. So deeply meaningful that I don't share them with a lot of people, but I attribute that to following the Spirit and being where I needed to be at that time and being open to it. And there's been many times in my life where maybe my faith wasn't quite as strong as I needed it to be at that time, and I could reflect back on the wagon train and the strength and the experiences that I had to draw on. That's my well. It's oftentimes my well for spiritual strength.
So for me, it would be different. But I think the biggest takeaway for me about the wagon train was that Zion is available to us. That there's chances to get glimpses of it or to feel it, to know a little bit about what it will be like and what it is like. And that we can yearn for that and work for that. And I think I've worked for 20 years since then, looking, yearning, hoping to have some more of it.
Wow, you guys get to the point a lot faster than Whitaker. Sorensen's, I should say. They have stories after stories after stories. But I love it because it is something that affected us all. And it's a well for a lot of us. It was for me, it was the greatest professional opportunity I've ever had. To do something like that on a daily basis. It was also the hardest thing I've ever done. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the case with everybody on the trail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was, they'll all say it was the hardest thing they ever did.
And the best. Yeah.
I don't know about the best.
Okay, yeah.
Meaningful. Most meaningful.
It was meaningful.
Yeah. It was. Lifelong friendships have been formed. Family identity.
Yeah.
That we've gained from that I don't think we could have foreseen that at all. And like I mentioned earlier, I think it was just kind of a microcosm of Earth life.
So Jan and Jerry Pierce, though, said something to me that's been haunting. Just after it was over, they came over to me and said that, President Hill, you will do many good things in your life, but you'll never do anything as important as this. And I think about that pretty regularly. Was that it? Was that the peak? Was that the epitome of my life? I hope not, but it's a little bit haunting to me.
Yeah, but then we've traveled the world and taken lots of people with us and given them great experiences.
It's been a good life to be a professor here.
You've been able to mentor a lot of youth.
Yeah.
And doing similar things.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What a great visit with the Hills. They're awesome. For sure. All right.
Is that good?